January 2026 is right around the corner, and that means Deadlock's next big update is almost here. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and today I want to kind of catch everyone up of the last few weeks of leaks. We've gotten a lot of information about hero abilities, icons, even more information about stuff coming in the update, things around the map, everywhere in between. I want to tackle it all in this video and get us all super excited for this update. I am like incredibly jazzed about it. It's been hard not to make a video these last few weeks, but with the holidays and vacation and everything, I just haven't really had the time. So like I said, today I'm going to catch you all up on everything that I've seen. There is a lot, so buckle in. We'll kind of go hero by hero, and then we're going to talk about all the other news that we think is coming in this update. Let's get right to it. Based on what I have seen in leaks, I think we can expect 6 heroes coming in this update, and so I want to talk about kind of each one and what we've heard about each of these heroes in the last month or so, if there's any new information or leaks about them. So these 6 heroes are Venator, REM, Fencer, Graves, Pepper, and Silver. And so all of these, like I said, we've had various degrees of leaks kind of covering each one. So I want to go through one at a time and talk about each of them. And in doing so, we're also going to look at a really cool new leak. This is a very low quality image of ability icons for REM, Graves, Pepper, Fencer, and Silver, and even a mystery hero. So we talk about there being 6 heroes that are probably in development. But like I said, with all of this is all a huge work in progress, kind of grain of salt assessment. There could be more behind the scenes that we don't know. But like I said, let's get into one at a time, going through each of the 6 heroes that we believe to be coming in January 2026 to Deadlock. All right, so we'll start with Venator, and Venator is one that we haven't really heard much about in a long time. This is one of the heroes that we kind of first leaked and first really talked about as being on the table for an update back when like Boho was also something that was being considered. Venator seems, however, pretty much done. There really hasn't been much conversation about like changes in the test server, happening to this hero. We really haven't heard much about Venator in a while, so I'm really going to kind of skip him in this video to a degree. REM is the one that we definitely have to spend some time talking about. There's a lot of new information about REM. So first off, cosmetics wise, we have a couple of really interesting images. One from Hezi, which is REM. It looks like in game, kind of from the back. Just taking a little snooze. This might be how REM looks like on a character's shoulder. So much is cut out here that I don't know exactly what this is, but this looks like a pretty solid in-game image of REM, which is super cool. And also on the kind of in-game image assets note, Deadlock Project 8 posted a post talking about REM textures and game files. I've seen some other people respond to this, but we kind of get a first glimpse of kind of the aesthetic of REM and how REM is going to look in game. I've also heard there's a really cool, you can kind of look up YouTube. There's a bird called a familiar, and familiar chat or something, and you can look up its sounds, and apparently REM sounds like that. So who knows to what degree that is legitimate, but that's what I've heard. But REM kind of just this adorable little guy that makes animal noises and is very just cute. We also, like I said, we got ability icons for REM as kind of one of the other ones. So I want to talk about what we're seeing with these 4 abilities. So the first one from what Minesweeper has posted is a little like pillow toss thing. It's kind of like it's similar to like a Dynamo stun where you throw a pillow at someone and it just kind of stuns them for a second. There's other abilities though. I think the 2 is just like latching on to a hero. So you just go to, I think it's called nap time, where you just go to take a nap on someone's shoulders. The ability names were leaked for REM, and we covered them a while ago, but I forget exactly what those were. But the 3 are these little like summoned minions that REM has that can go like mess with the buff crystals or sinners or things like that. And then the 4 is a big kind of AoE circular sleep ult that you deploy, and after a certain amount of time, people who are caught in it fall asleep or are basically just stunned. So that's all from what I've seen. That's all that we know about REM so far. But this one, like I said, REM and Venator really do seem pretty polished, pretty done. We've seen a ton of in-game imagery of REM already with like the hero select splash screen, and now these are the images that we've talked about so far today. So a lot that we've seen about these 2 heroes. A little bit less about the ones coming up, but still these 2 I feel super confident about, kind of representing what they are in the update. Next up is Fencer, my Ixion twin. All we have from Fencer that is new so far is Minesweeper made a post kind of talking about how a lot of heroes are near completion. This is from December 22nd. Fencer now has an ability which refunds stamina and refreshes air dash / jump counter, so you can move around like a crackhead. This is also where we see the REM pillow toss statement. But we also have some images of Fencer's ability icons, obviously very low quality. It's hard to glean much from these. It's cool to see them. It's just fun to like start imagining and speculating what these could be. What I think, if memory serves, what I remember from Fencer's kit is that there's going to be kind of like a sort of a parry ability that is different than just a traditional parry, and then obviously that movement thing that Minesweeper posted. But I think Fencer is going to be that kind of up close dash around melee fighter kind of character, kind of fitting that trope. So it'll be interesting to see. I haven't heard a ton else about Fencer, but we have seen some in-game images of this character, so I think we at least can, we think at least that this hero is pretty far along, but time will just have to tell with Fencer as well. Next up is Graves. This is a hero that I feel like has had a ton of work done in the past few weeks. There's actually a good bit of stuff to talk about here, but first off, we have to start with, on December 25th, Hezi posted a picture of Graves in-game. We finally get to see what the hero looks like. This fits really closely to what we've seen from like artist renditions in the past, but it's still really cool to see in-game. We see the red jacket as well. This is probably going to be something that links Graves and Fencer in terms of lore, and it's also going to be interesting to just see how, again, the lore of this game continues to build out as we add more and more heroes. Layers are going to be added. It's going to be super, super cool to see anyway. But we also have some updates on abilities for Graves, because this is a hero that we've leaked a couple of abilities prior, and some of those have changed. So on December 21st, Minesweeper posted that Graves' third ability is a passive, which makes her steal gun damage from the target she shoots up to 60%, I think. And at 5 AP, her beam bounces to a +1 target, similar to Kelvin. She also has a wall, which roots enemies that pass through it, and the previously posted 2 and 4. However, an update that Minesweeper posted, Shambling Ghoul, or the 2, has actually been removed. Only the Tombstone can spawn zombies. So basically, and then we've obviously we talked about that we have now images of Graves' ability icons. Again, these are super, super bare bones, very, very difficult to kind of make sense of what this would be. But in any case, we have now basically a wall, a passive, and then a summoning ult, and then another summoning ability that are still kind of on the table for Graves. But this is one that this hero looks super, super cool. I think this is going to be a great addition to the game. And like I said, it's nice to finally get some progress on this one in terms of what we can see and all that. But obviously, I mean, as we can see, this was posted on December 21st from Minesweeper, that there have been some changes. All of this, like we always say, represents a work in progress. Like, even when we first covered that these abilities have leaked, they've all already, or at least a couple of them have now already even changed from there. So probably some more changes still to come, but nonetheless, very cool to see Graves in her current state. All right, next up is the Unicorn hero that is supposedly coming to Deadlock, that is currently going under the name Pepper. So Pepper looks to be super interesting. We actually got a lot more about Pepper's abilities that we're going to get into in a second. But first, we have a very Epstein-esque image shared in-game from Deadlock Project 8, where a lot of this was kind of, redacted out. Pretty funny, honestly, a funny, timely way to share this, but really can't see much in the image, so not really worth talking about it too much. But obviously with Pepper as well, we have the ability icons, and according to Minesweeper and just some replies of a post I was able to find back from December 22nd, Pepper apparently has a skip shot on her gun, a self-shield, an AoE beam thing that gives her a stacking temporary spirit amp, and then her ult is Boho's old bouncing orb. So you can take that with what you want. It's a very grain of salt, but that is what Minesweeper has claimed from Pepper's abilities. You can see the icons there, so maybe those make sense, maybe they don't. But in any case, what we've kind of heard from Pepper, just to catch people up, is this is going to be a very like pink, over-the-top unicorn hero with these supposedly abilities, and then we've seen this very redacted image of it in game, obviously. So not much to speak of Pepper. I really haven't heard much else, honestly, and so there's really not a ton to go into here. But we have one more hero that I do want to get to, and that is Silver. So this last one may have been a hero that you've heard of, kind of going under a few different other code names like Werewolf or Shapeshifter. If that's kind of the hero you've been like wondering what's going on with them, well, that is Silver. So Silver, from what we've seen, we have the ability icons for this hero as well. And then Minesweeper also made a post on December 23rd, kind of explaining what some of these abilities might do. Again, a lot of this obviously very work in progress, like we've said, but in human form, you can dash into people with a kick, maybe the 3 ability. And if it collides, you will knock them back. Another ability, the 2 ability potentially, is a bullet, does like a root effect, hence like you can kind of see like the root or thorns or some kind of plant texture there. And the 1 will shoot off a full mag of your shotgun very quickly. That looks like kind of an X with 2 bullets, so that really would check out. And I'm guessing the 4 would just be your transformation. So you're able to go from a human form into like, again, we haven't seen any in-game images of this, so really not much to say, but some kind of larger, assumedly more tank form. So Silver, like I said, we don't know a ton about. This is probably the most work in progress, hence kind of why I saved it to the end. This is one that it felt like was probably the thing that was going to be, kind of worked on just before the update. Maybe this is the reason the update was stalled. Who knows? This is probably not the only reason, but maybe one of the reasons. So that's going to do it for all the heroes, at least. So like I said, 6 heroes. The only exception could be this little post from Deadlock Intel that kind of clarifies a mystery hero. So we really don't know much about this. This could just be total bait. This could be Venator, because his abilities were not a part of that post as well. But in any case, those are the 6 heroes. We probably are expecting to recap those. It is Venator, REM, Fencer, Graves, Pepper, and Silver. So let's move on to some other things, because there's a lot more that we have not talked about yet that we think about is going to be coming in the update. So let's get into the rest of what we have planned here. It's crazy, though, that after talking about all those heroes, we really haven't even gotten into what I think is maybe the biggest change coming in this update, and that is all the changes to the map. Like, if all the August update is, we thought of it as like a Deadlock 2.0 with the new heroes and the hideout and all that, this feels like something even monumentally, even more, I don't know, there's just so much coming in this update. I have heard a lot about how the bases, there was an image shared of the base that we previously covered a long time ago as one of the first big leaks kind of tipping off this update. Supposedly even that image is very kind of outdated now. It was a very work in progress type thing. I've covered previously on this channel how basically every part of the map is undergoing some level of change. And it really is like such a severe degree that I don't think anyone's going to expect when they load up the game. I'm talking about most interiors, a lot of exteriors of buildings, lighting, just some other like elements around the map, like maybe smoke and some other things that you've gotten used to being a certain way are probably all going to be different. I've also heard both bases are pretty complete. You have the Amber Hand and the Sapphire Flame. Supposedly these are incredible looking. The shrines are on way different surfaces than they were before. They're actually like going to be elevated, much more exposed. Basically, taking base is going to be a lot more involved and a lot more difficult, and honestly just a lot more epic looking than it is now. Like Patron, like dropping Patron and getting into the pit is kind of this like anticlimactic thing. I think it's going to be this really like amazing epic experience now, and I'm just super excited to get into it. So honestly, outside of the heroes are going to be awesome. I think we'll probably have a voting thing just like we did last time, but I think the changes to the map are going to be unbelievably significant, and the thing that I am most excited for in this coming update. All right, and kind of the last few leaks that I have heard before we kind of wrap up the video, there's three I really want to get into. One of them I really think is a very interesting one to talk about. I'll save it for the end. But number one, a new Dynamo portrait has been spotted in the testing branch, posted 20 hours ago at the time of recording by Deadlock Intel and Minesweeper. It appears the Valve team is continuing their work on existing characters. This really makes sense. If you all know Valve, they really can change anything at any time, and this is still an alpha game. So even though we have like these massive remodels and polishes that get applied to characters like Dynamo, they're still probably not done. And that is something that is, that kind of finish line is this very ambiguous thing. We really don't know when it's going to happen. So just expect even more changes, even to heroes that we may not have expected changes to. Then Minesweeper posted something really funny as well on December 27th. What if you can imbue orange items? Maybe call it ballistic something. It would probably give 20% fire range and fire rate. Costs 3,200 or so. I don't know, just thinking out loud. So I think this is Minesweeper's way of leaking an upcoming 3,200 cost imbued weapon item, which would be the first weapon item you could imbue, which would be really cool. Last thing I want to talk about, and I hesitate to get into this too much because it is such a rumor at this point, but there is a rumor that has kind of been floating around that I have heard that Deadlock will be going into open beta officially in January at some point. I wanted to say, I didn't want to like lead off the video with this because it does feel very unsubstantiated, ultra grain of salt, like kind of condition with this one. But with everything coming in the update, it really does kind of make sense. We have this massive final art pass around the map. We have 6 probably new heroes coming to the game as well. All of these other artistic changes as well. We haven't talked about in this video some of the other things that we've kind of previously talked about because there's been no new news about them, but we're still expecting Street Brawl. We're still expecting new walkers, new minions, all kinds of new things. Like I said, the map is going to be so irrecognizable. It looks incredible from what I've seen. So it could be that this really is the big update for Deadlock. If it is, I'm super stoked. If it's not, that's okay too. It really doesn't, like, I'm not out here trying to like pine for the release of the game. I'm just trying to kind of put together what makes sense in my mind. And really, it doesn't matter if the game comes out or not. It just speaks to the idea that this is going to be a really substantial update and one that has so much content coming to it. Like I said, if the August update was Deadlock 2.0, this is absolutely Deadlock 3.0 and maybe even something more significant than that. Hard to articulate what I really mean by this, but this should be an ultra substantial update, and I am so excited for it, y'all. It's been hard not to be like, I don't know, it's been hard not making videos for the whole month. It's been a busier month, vacation, holidays, everything in between, but I am very excited to get back to covering the game. January should be a historic month for Deadlock, and I am very excited to be covering it here at Dead Unlocked. So, as always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll try and get some other content out before the end of the year, but otherwise, if I don't talk to you all, have a great New Year's, and I'm very excited for Deadlock in 2026. Very excited to see what happens, but as always, thank you all so much for tuning in. And from our house to yours, we'll see you all next time here at Dead Unlocked.